Now that Black Panther is out, the next Marvel movie we have to look forward to is the one we've all been waiting for, Avengers Infinity War. If you caught the first video I did, everything you need to know about the Infinity Stones, you know that Avengers Infinity War will be all about Thanos trying to collect the Infinity Stones for his Infinity Gauntlet and the Avengers trying to stop him. Thanos is one of the most, if not the most powerful villains in Marvel history, so it's going to be an awesome movie and I can't wait till it comes out in May. With it coming out so soon, I want to do some recaps and theories on where some of our favorite characters are at in the MCU and what I expect to see in Infinity War. I want to start this series off with one of my all-time favorite heroes and Avenger, the mighty Thor. If you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok yet, go see it. Seriously, it's the best Thor movie so far and it's both hilarious and action-packed. Also, here's your official spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie yet. The main thing I want to talk about in this video is Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. In Thor Ragnarok, Hela the goddess of death breaks Mjolnir, and might I add, with ease, and our mighty Thor goes the entire movie without his hammer. Does Thor get Mjolnir back at the end of the movie? Nope. For those of you who haven't seen it, he goes the entire movie without Meow Meow, but with a little help from his father Odin, he finds the power within himself and becomes even stronger. Now, does this mean that Thor is without his hammer from now on? Not likely. In an Instagram post by the Russo brothers, we see the hammer on set, and more importantly, we specifically see the original Mjolnir. I'll touch more on this in a bit. So, some of you might be asking, does Thor lose his hammer in the comics? The answer is, oh yeah, many, many times. This leaves the question of, how does Thor get his hammer back, and also, what hammer will he have? Here are some of my theories. Before I actually state my theories, I think it should be known that in the comics there are two storylines, Unworthy Thor and Thor Ultimate. In this video I'll be talking about both, but I won't go too into detail because I want to stick to what I think we'll see in the upcoming Infinity War movies. So let's start with the Instagram post by the Russo brothers I mentioned earlier. What's difficult here is to truly know if the hammer is actually in Infinity War or if the directors are just teasing us. Let's briefly act like they're not teasing us and go a little into how Mjolnir could be fixed. One way in the comics is that Loki actually fixes it for Thor. This is possible since it appears that Loki has turned good and has a good relationship with Thor at the end of Ragnarok, but I think we all know that this won't last and he'll be fighting with Thanos at some point in Infinity War. Another way Mjolnir is fixed is that a celestial being fixes it. This is very unlikely to show up in Infinity War though. What I personally believe will happen, if they take it this way, is that we will see Thor Ultimate from the comics. In the Ultimate series, Tony Stark actually fixes Mjolnir for Thor. I can see this happening, especially after the end credits scene in Black Panther where T'Challa says he will be sharing vibranium with the world essentially. Taking Stark's brains and tech and the most powerful metal on Earth and combining them to make Mjolnir even better? Yep, I can see Ultimate Tech Mjolnir happening. Let's say Mjolnir doesn't come back though. What are the other options? I for one think a great weapon to see in Infinity War would be Jarnborn, the battle axe. In the Unworthy Thor, Odin's son actually yields this axe when he loses his hammer due to unworthiness, and it was actually Thor's primary weapon before he became worthy of Mjolnir in the first place. And after Ragnarok, the current Thor we have is the Unworthy Thor. Jarnborn was forged by the same dwarves that forged Mjolnir and is blessed with Thor's own blood. And again, it's the primary weapon that Thor wields in the comic series, the Unworthy Thor. Also, not to mention that the Unworthy Thor has short hair, much like our MCU Thor has now. So I can see it making an appearance in Infinity War, at least for a brief moment. What I actually would absolutely love to see is for Ultimate Mjolnir to make an appearance. As you can see, Ultimate Mjolnir is both a hammer and a battle axe. In the comics, there's a comet-like dimensional rift that smashes into old Asgard, and the dimensional rift is Ultimate Mjolnir. There's also a different storyline where Ultimate Mjolnir is tech-based and human-made. This could come into Infinity War in a couple different ways. Just as I mentioned the original Mjolnir could come back, the Ultimate Mjolnir could come to us by Tony Stark using his tech and vibranium from Wakanda forged together. Another theory is that Thor actually took the hammer in Thor Ragnarok, knowing that he would have to leave Asgard. This of course is assuming that the hammer already landed on Asgard. The hammer doesn't actually have a worthiness enchantment on it, so Thor could have easily given it to someone to take and look after. The reason I think there is a good possibility of this hammer showing up is because of new official concept art that Marvel released. As you can see, it doesn't show the actual hammerhead, it just shows the handle. But if you look closely at the handle, it's much longer than the original Mjolnir, and it also looks a lot like Ultimate Mjolnir. What I'm guessing is that Thor will somehow forge a new hammer by going to the dwarves of Nidavellir who forged the original Mjolnir. I'd imagine it will have some vibranium in it as well, and that Stark will have some involvement at the same time. This will actually tie a few of the different comic series together, which is sort of what Marvel has been doing in the movies. These are just a few of my theories on what we could possibly see in Avengers Infinity War coming out in May of this year. What are some of your theories? I'd love to hear from everyone. Just drop a comment below and let me know what you think we'll see in Infinity War. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with all things Infinity War, Marvel, and superhero. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.